We're live, Jeff.
We're live.
We are live. Hey, how's it going? Lee Hayward joined with Jeff Samataro for the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat for August the 11th. August. Summer is gradually coming to a close. And Jeff, have you been having a good summer so far?
I have. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been great. Well, I mean, it rained for like a month and a half, practically. But now everything's opening up really nice. Got a nice day out today, and we're heading to the beach this weekend.
Yeah?
So, yeah. I can make the most out of what's left of it.
Gotcha. So what beach is that? Is that like a local area?
Yeah. Yep. So I'm playing in Hampton tonight, and my mother-in-law, she has a place up in Wells, Maine.
Okay.
Yep. So we're going to go stay there. And then I'm playing in York, Maine on Saturday night. So during the day tomorrow, I'm going to go to the beach and maybe get some seafood.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so how far are you from Maine?
Like an hour.
Oh, that's not much. Okay. Gotcha. I didn't realize it was so close. Cool.
That's what's nice about the Northeast states is that everything is within an hour. You can be in Massachusetts in an hour. It could be in Maine in an hour. It could be in Vermont in an hour. It's all in close proximity.
Cool. Oh, nice. All right, we got a few people popping onto our live stream there. We got Mike is joining in. Hello, Mike. We have Cool Gamer joining in. Mike, I don't recall seeing your name as a regular. If you are a regular, let us know, but nice to have you joining in. Always nice to have new people joining in. We got Lee joining in. Nice to see you, Lee. Awesome. So just a quick recap for those of you who are regulars, and if you're new, I want to welcome you. But myself and Jeff, we're going to be hanging out here for the next hour, answering questions and topics of discussion related to fitness and nutrition and health and wellness that you guys have. So this show is dedicated to you, to you, the viewers. So if there's anything that you would like to discuss, feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window. And we are streaming from Facebook as well as YouTube. So depending on where you're to, there's either a chat window or there's a comment section below. Type your questions and topics of discussion there. And myself and Jeff, we'll take them away and do the best we can to help you out over the course of our video chat. All right, who else we got joining in? And Dario is joining in. No, Dario's a regular. We have Khalid joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining, guys. Awesome. And Jeff, we were just quickly chatting before we started the stream, and you said you were on a vacation recently out in Arizona. So
yeah,
how did you make that work? Because this is something that's a good little topic we can discuss here while we're waiting for people to type in their questions and topics of discussion. But traveling, that really throws a wrench into a lot of people's fitness programs. Right, like you're especially the nutrition side, but also the workout side, because you're out of your element, you're away from your home base. A lot of times you're not in control, or you don't have as much control, I should say, over the food you eat, over the workouts you do. So how did you make it work while you were traveling?
Well, it's a very active vacation. So it was like a destination hiking type of vacation. So we went to Sedona, Arizona. We were there for 3 days, and then we got an RV. We went to the Grand Canyon, which we were there for a day, and then we drove through the desert and then went to Zion National Park, and we were there for 3 days. So we were constantly moving, and the whole point of the trip was to do a lot of hiking. So like every day we would go on 2 to 3 different hikes. So yeah, so we're moving a lot. And with the heat and everything like that too, it was super challenging. That I know Arizona, that part of the world, has had the hottest month on record in July that they've ever had. It was 115 degrees when we landed in Phoenix. So, and I've never experienced that type of heat before. I mean, I've had hot days here in New Hampshire, but I mean, not 115 degrees with like zero humidity. It was pretty intense.
Wow.
So yeah, so I mean, it was a very active vacation. We were moving a lot. Diet wise, I mean, I think that if you're consistently like on point with your diet, like 80%, 90% of your time, you can give a little bit of wiggle room in there. So I mean, it wasn't perfect. We were going out to dinner on some nights, and I mean, I'm really strict with my diet any other given week of the year. So,
Right.
I mean, if I'm going out, if I'm on vacation or something like that, I'm not going to stress about having some burger, like a burger and fries or something like that, or something a little different, maybe that's not perfect because it doesn't have to be perfect. First of all,
Mhm.
to live a healthy lifestyle and to be in great shape, you don't have to be perfect.
Right.
But you only live once too, and you don't want to constantly be in this fitness bubble all 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. I mean, what fun is that? What's the point if you don't get to go out and enjoy yourself every now and then?
Sure. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, did you do any like? Did you go to a gym or did you do any weight training or anything while you were gone?
No, I didn't do any weight training or anything like that. I mean, we were moving every day. We were
Yeah.
hiking, and I mean, there were some nights like we had an Airbnb, so we cooked a couple nights, and we had steaks and potatoes and vegetables and stuff like a couple nights, and then there was a couple nights we went to a brewery, and we got some food there. I had the first beer I've had in probably 3 years.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, whatever, go for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I had a beer. And then and then when we were in the RV, it was an RV that had a propane tank
Yeah.
hooked up to it, so we were able to cook. So so I got some I got some things like beans and rice and ground beef and eggs and things that are really easy just to throw in a frying pan.
Sure.
Deli meats, things like that. So even though I was on vacation, it really wasn't it wasn't like, okay, everything's changed now and now I'm gonna throw everything to the wind and just
Yeah.
let it all go, let it all hang out.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you though, that was very
Yeah.
different than the vacations I used to do. The vacations I used to do is I'd go somewhere and I would just plop my ass on a beach chair and just drink and eat all day and not get up.
Right. Yeah. Those type of vacations. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with those and have done those in the past.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to do an active vacation. I wanted to
Nice.
move and I wanted it to be
I like that. An
yeah,
active vacation.
destination hiking, yeah, and it was much more fulfilling than any of those old vacations, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
That's awesome. No, I respect that. And the big take home message I'm hearing here is you made the best of the situation. So even though it wasn't perfect, you made the best of it. So like when you were in the RV, you made the best food choices you could, tried to prepare stuff. And when you were at the Airbnb, you made the best food choices, but then you still had that wiggle room where you enjoyed a few meals in the restaurants. And I'm very much the same way. We had a little mini vacation ourselves just this week. It was only a couple nights, but we stayed at a hotel and did a boat tour and just some scenic outport communities in Newfoundland. That's where we went. And I was eating in restaurants. Every meal was a restaurant meal, but
Mhm.
I didn't beat myself up over it, and they weren't perfect meals, right? There was some fried food there, and the greasy spoon, as you say, but I enjoyed it. And back home again now, back on track. Like my very first meal, as soon as I got home, I made up my big, large garden salad, threw in some chopped up chicken with it, and it felt good. It felt good to enjoy the restaurant food, but it also felt good to just get back to normal again. And I think that's the secret to really that sustainability is how fast can you get back on track and not let those little slip ups derail and throw things to the wind. Because a lot of times that what happens is people have this vision in their mind. Okay, I have to have this perfect diet, this perfect program. Everything's got to be spot on. And if they fall off the wagon, it's like, oh, screw it. I knew I couldn't do it. And then they let themselves get stuck in that rut and just, it just starts to slide and spiral out of control. Whereas if you can get back on track, for your very next meal, your very next workout, you can minimize the damage done and still move forward.
Mm.
Right, that's the secret to this, and I'm glad you shared that. I'm glad you had a good vacation. So, like with the hiking and that, were you tracking steps, or do you know how many hours a day you were hiking, or have any
Well,
idea?
I had my Garmin watch on me, and
Yeah.
there was a couple days where it was I had well over 30,000 steps
And that's not flat steps either. That's
no, that's like with elevation gain.
Yeah,
that too.
nice.
Yeah, no, but you're right. It's like there's nothing you can really do in a short amount of time that's going to offset an entire lifetime of hard work and taking care of yourself and everything. And as long as you get right back on track afterwards, you really got nothing to stress about.
It's the long-term average. Like one healthy meal is not going to make you fit, and one bad meal is not going to make you fat. Like one workout is not going to make you fit, and skipping a workout is not going to make you fat. It's the accumulation. Like, what do you average over the course of the year? Are you averaging more good days than bad? And if you are, you're going to make progress. And if you're averaging more bad days than good, you're going to fall behind. And that's how it happens. It's that long-term average. It's not any one meal or any one workout that's going to make or break it. It's the long-term average. And we really need to zoom out and look at that big picture to focus on that. But
right.
Good stuff, man. I'm glad you shared that. So let's see who we have joining in here. We got some questions. Neil's got one there. I'm just going to jump in. It says, morning, Lee and Jeff. What are your thoughts in reducing sugar and salt intake in your diet? I'm in it for almost 2 weeks now. I feel sluggish. Even coffee doesn't taste great without sugar and cream. All right. Reducing sugar and salt. Well, those are two totally different things. And I'm not a big fan. Well, let me clarify this. I'm not a big fan of reducing salt unless you need to. Salt is kind of one of these misunderstood things when it comes to nutrition. Like a lot of the medical professionals will tell you, hey, you got to cut your salt. Most of the time, unless you have some sort of medical condition, it's not too much salt. It's usually not enough water to flush it through your system so that your body can utilize what it needs and then flush out the rest. Because if you're drinking lots of water, and I know, Jeff, you've got a bottle of water there on your desk, I seen you, and I've got myself a glass of water. Like I always have water with me everywhere. As long as you're drinking, your body will use what it needs and flush out the rest. I mean, it'll flush it out in your sweat. It'll flush it out in your urine. So having excess salt in your system is very rare if you're drinking adequate water. So I purposely go out of my way to increase my salt intake, especially if I'm very active. Do you do that, Jeff? Especially like with those, when you're in that warm environment, those hikes and stuff, like did you eat more salt to compensate for what you were sweating?
I didn't consciously add extra salt or anything to my diet. I salt my food anyway.
Well, that is purposely adding salt. Yeah, I do the same.
Yeah, but I do that like all the time anyway with every meal that I have. I had a lot of we brought a big packet or a big thing of electrolyte packets.
Good.
And I was having 1 to 2 of those a day.
Sure.
But no, I didn't consciously add more salt than I typically do.
Okay, but you do it anyway, and I'm the same way. Like I'll add salt to my food, and then when I do extra activity, like when I go for big bike rides, I put salt in my water bottles. Like I usually mix up amino acids, and I put some carbohydrate powder and some salt, and to mix up my own amino carb electrolyte drink that way. So that's something that I purposely do. So I'll add salt. So salt is not the bad guy. And as far as fat losses is concerned, like salt has 0 calories. So you're not gaining fat because of salt. And your body needs it. Like there's actually, especially for athletes, you're probably at a greater risk of consuming too little salt than too much. Now, again, there's always exceptions to the rule. Like one of the guys, for example, in our coaching program, Mike Brown, myself and Mike have done some videos on YouTube and that. He's sensitive to sodium, so he purposely has to minimize it. He finds if he consumes excess sodium, he does find he gets a lot of bloating and retains water from it. So he's conscious of that. But most people, I find they actually need more than less, especially if you're active. Sugar, on the other hand, that's one you want to be very careful of. And dietary sugar, especially in the form of sweets, or sugar in your coffee, sugar drinks, all that kind of stuff, that's an easy one to cut back. You know, like if you're looking for the low hanging fruit to improve your diet, cutting out the sugary drinks is an easy one. And these days, with all the artificial sweetener options we have available, you're not really giving up anything.
Mm.
You know, like if you want a sweet coffee, there's so many artificial sweetener options, from stevia to Splenda to whatever else is out there. There's monk fruit. There's all kinds of different artificial sweetener options you can have. So I would experiment with those, because I know, I just go back to the question there. It was Neil's question saying coffee doesn't taste great without sugar and cream. Well, you can find some sort of sugar alternative, and I'll admit they don't taste exactly like sugar. So you're probably going to have to play around with it and see what ones you like. Like my father, for example, he always puts artificial sweetener in his coffee, and he likes the taste of Sugar Twin. Like, he doesn't like Splenda, he doesn't like Equal, he doesn't like Stevia, but he likes Sugar Twin. That's the one that he likes. So, hey, whatever works, right? That's the one he fancies. Find the one that you enjoy the most and swap that. And that's an easy swap. Like, you'll get the sweet taste without really missing it. As far as the cream, low-fat milk. That's probably, I know it's not the same creaminess, but it's your next best option.
Mm.
What do you have in your coffee, Jeff? Do you have anything in your coffee, or you drink it black?
Yeah, my wife, she buys these simple syrups.
Okay.
They have like different flavors and stuff. So like the one we're using right now is like a cinnamon bun one, but like I love it. So she buys like a whole thing of it. They're really
Does it have
cheap.
calories in it?
No, it's 0 calories.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
It's super cheap. Yeah, it's like I think it's like $1.99 or something for.
What's it called again? Just
simple syrups.
Simple syrups. Okay, Neil, that's something to do a Google for. Simple syrups. I've never tried it. Never actually heard of it before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've done that, and then I've done vanilla protein powder in coffee before too, and that can really sweeten it up a lot too, and give it almost like a one of those specialty coffee type of,
almost like a latte type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially get a nice milk frother and mix it up. It gives it that frothy vanilla taste to it, which is nice.
Yeah. You got to get the frother though. If you don't get the frother, it'll get really clumpy.
Yeah. Don't stir it with a spoon. You'll never get it stirred right. But a nice milk frother is definitely worth the investment. You can pick them up on Amazon for like $20 ish, in that range.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll last forever too.
Yeah, but that's what I'd recommend. And another one, like, we're just getting back to this, reducing sugar. Sugar is one of those things. There's a time and a place to consume sugar. Now, for the average person, like, and when I mean average person, like even the average fitness enthusiast who's probably going to the gym and working out for an hour, you don't need extra sugar, right? You don't need to replenish it. But for people who are doing prolonged exercise, like endurance athletes, actually consuming sugar during those prolonged activities is advantageous and can also be critical in some cases. Like, for example, I'm big into cycling now, and it's common for cyclists and long distance endurance athletes to purposely consume simple carbohydrates, even sugar, during their events, to keep their carbohydrates topped up, to keep their blood sugar high, because they're burning up so many calories, especially in prolonged events. And when I say prolonged, I'm talking like 3+ hours. If your workout is an hour or two, you don't need to. You'll have enough glycogen within your muscles and liver to sustain that. But once you start going beyond that, then you're starting to deplete the muscle glycogen, deplete the liver glycogen. And if you don't replenish it as you're training, you can actually get into a low blood sugar state and bonk. That's what they refer to it as. It's basically like just running out of glycogen, running out of sugar. And when you do that, your energy tanks, your mental focus, everything just plummets. So there is a time and a place to have those simple carbohydrates, the simple sugars. But other than that, just in your regular diet, if you're training for fat loss and your workouts are 2 hours or less, you probably want to keep it to a minimum. Okay. Anything else you want to add there to that one?
No. Yeah, you nailed it. That's cool.
All right.
I didn't know that that endurance riders drank sugar purposely.
Oh, heck yeah. Some people, like, like a lot of these sports drinks and stuff, like that's where the whole like sports drinks like a Gatorade or something like that can actually be advantageous.
Mm.
You know, some of them even drink sugary soda pop, like regular soda, if you know, just to get that sugar.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's other than that, I mean, that's one time when it is advantageous, but outside of that window, when you're burning it up so fast and you want that fast absorbing, fast releasing carbohydrate, other than that, that's, you know, it's just a recipe for getting fat, spiking your insulin needlessly and stimulating fat storage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dario's got an interesting question. Do you believe that a man can change his destiny? This could be a deep question. I don't know. Care to elaborate on what you mean by that? But there's a lot of things we can change. I think we have a lot of control. Now, granted, there are some things that we can't control, and fate or luck or whatever you want to call it certainly has an impact. But I think you can certainly make the best of whatever situation you're thrown in. But Dario, if you want to elaborate on your question a bit more, I don't know if there's something in particular you're looking for here, but I will say that you have some control. You don't have total control, but you do have some.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Have you changed your destiny, Jeff?
I would say a man's in control of his own destiny.
There we are.
Yeah, because I like to. Yeah, I like to think that. I like to think that we have control over the outcome of our life to a degree.
To a degree. I mean, yeah. When you look at the bigger picture of all this, like that could be a big, you know, big philosopher note here, right? But think of how fortunate we are to be born where we are in a time that we are, like to be able to have this technology available to us. Like it wasn't that long ago. We wouldn't be able to have this conversation right now. We wouldn't be able to have this video chat. So, I mean, we're very fortunate to be born in the time we are, in the world we are. You know, if you were born in a third world country with very limited resources, you know, you're me. I'm not saying it's impossible, because there's always exceptions to the rule. We've heard people, you know, the rags to riches stories and stuff like that. But, you know, there is luck to it for sure. But I think we can make the best of our situation, and that can certainly change our destiny, whether that's, you know, personal fitness, you know, whatever it is you're training for.
Yeah. You know, my dad used to say to me, do the best you can. And then if it doesn't work out, at least you know that you did the best you can.
Yeah, that's good advice.
But always do the best you can. Work hard.
The best you can. Yeah. All right, Rick's got a question here. Let's jump into this one. He says, I've had it in my head. I've been meaning to start a debate on why does everyone just straight to cut calories and start exercising over build up the metabolism for a few weeks before adding cardio and cutting calories? So why does everyone just go straight to cutting calories and start exercising over building up the metabolism before adding cardio and cutting calories? Okay, I see one. I think the reason people do that is because they're looking for the quick fix solution. They're looking for the Band-Aid. Like, what do I need to do to drop weight now instead of thinking long-term and laying the foundation? And this is something that we kind of do differently within our Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. In fact, we have a 3-phase system, and phase 1 is the metabolic reboot, which is basically just what Rick was saying. It's building up the metabolism. That metabolic reboot phase is focusing on better eating, better lifestyle choices, better exercise habits, basically laying the foundation. Like, we're not cutting calories. In fact, a lot of the guys who come on board with the program, the first thing they're saying is like, holy crap, I'm allowed to eat this much food? And I'm like, yeah, you're allowed to eat that much food. And from a dieter's point of view, they're actually shocked, right? Because they're so used to, I got to be starving myself on low carbs and 1,000 calories a day and blah, blah, blah. Now, you're having me eating whatever, 2,000, 2,500 calories or something like that. And they're like, wow, feels like it's too much. And like, focus on fueling your body, like nourishing your body, not starving it. Build your metabolism with that metabolic reboot. And then once we have the foundation and the the habits in place, better eating, better exercise, better lifestyle choices, all that stuff, better sleep habits, good overall health and wellness, then we can manipulate it in phase 2 of the program, which is the fat loss accelerator. So if we need to manipulate the calories, we need to cut back a little bit or whatever, we'll do that in the second phase. And then the final phase, which is kind of like what Jeff has gone through recently, is the lean gain body recomp, where we focus on, okay, you've already lost your body fat, you're at a comfortable level, you can see your abdominals, you're happy. Now let's focus on building muscle or improving athletic performance or taking your fitness to that next level, whatever that happens to be for you. So breaking it down into 3 phases instead of just, I'm going on a starvation diet to try and drop weight as fast as possible, which, yeah, it might work in the short term, but it never lasts long term.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of relate to that, Jeff, because I know you went through a similar thing. Like your first diet was, hey, let's cut carbs.
Yeah, no, and you're right. It was a complete game changer once I realized that slashing calories to as low as I possibly could was not the answer to recomping my body and changing my destiny.
There you go.
Changing my destiny. Yeah. So that was a big game changer for me. And I remember that too. I remember messaging you at the very beginning of the program and being like, this seems like a lot of food.
Yeah, you went through it as well. And I love using your example. Like I was actually having a conversation with one of our relatively newer members. He's been doing it for about 6 months now. It was Robert. And he's made some amazing progress. Like he's already surpassed his goal that he had 6 months ago. And people are commenting, he's best shape now. Like you can see the outline of his abdominals and everything else. And Robert's 60 years old. All right. So, I mean, he's getting in the best shape of his life at 60. And he was the same thing. Like, man, that's a lot of food. I didn't think I could lose fat and build muscle and feel this good eating so much.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because like when I go places and I mean, people comment all the time. They're like, wow, you can really throw back a lot of food. You eat a lot of food all the time and everything. It's like, but you're so skinny. How do you stay so skinny? I remember we were at the dinner with my wife a couple weeks ago, and I remember the waitress. I ordered a salad, and I got salmon and steak on the salad.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. And she comes out, the waitress comes out, and she's like, wow. She's like, look at the salad. She's like, you're gonna eat that whole thing? And I was like, yeah. So she came back and got it, and it was completely, the plate was clean when she came back to get it. And she looks at me, she goes, wow. She goes, you're one of those lucky few that can just eat and eat and eat and just be really skinny, huh?
You're eating salad and steak and salmon. Just think of what you do, right?
I know. It's like, it's more about the choices you make, right?
But that's another trick. Like the volume of food that you had in that salad versus if somebody ordered a burger with French fries. Like a single cheeseburger has way more calories than the salad you had, but like it's a little cheeseburger or this great big bowl of salad.
Right. I would get done eating that cheeseburger and probably still feel a little hungry or not 100% satisfied. I got done that salad and I was like, yeah, I got what I came for.
Right. So it's the food volume, right? That's one thing a lot of people don't understand. Like there's a big difference between the volume and calorie density.
Yep. And thank God for all that, because I like to eat. I don't think I could be successful at this if I had to slash calories down to nothing.
And that is the secret to fat loss success, is how can you eat and enjoy the process, feel satiated, and make it part of your lifestyle? Because I mean, anybody can suffer it out in the short term. Like you can go on a crazy cutting diet, you can slash your carbs, you can go on 1,000 calories a day or fasting or whatever, all these different low calorie type of diets. And yeah, they all work, right? They absolutely work. But if you don't feel good and you don't enjoy it, like how long are you going to suffer it out for before you finally say, that's it, I can't do this anymore, enough's enough, I quit? Right? Most people go into those type of diets thinking, okay, I'm going to go on a a 30-day diet, or I'm going to go on a 90-day diet, or whatever. They have some deadline in mind. I want to get in shape for a beach vacation or a wedding or something's coming up. And then as soon as they hit that short-term goal, then it's like, okay, now I'm going to go back to normal. Well, going back to normal, you undo all the progress you just made.
Right.
It's not a diet, right? It has to be a lifestyle change. And that's really the secret.
Yeah.
But that's a good question that Rick had there, or a good, a good observation, I should say, because again, most people, they're looking for the shortcut, right? And there really is no shortcut. In this case, slow is fast, because the slower you lose the fat and sustain it, that leads to faster results long term, right? Who cares if you can starve yourself and drop 30 pounds in 30 days if 3 months later you got 40 pounds back on again? Right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think a lot of the time people are more they're into the illusion of being something as opposed to actually being that thing.
Yeah.
And like the reality is that, being fit and in shape and all that takes months and years.
Yes.
And and anything that happens or is promised in 30 days is just, smoke and mirrors there. So focusing on the lifestyle, changing your lifestyle, and making sure that it's something you could stick to over the course of months and years, because that's how long it takes. Hard work. You got to put it in.
It's a good point. All right, Lee's a regular to our chats. Says, I have a strongman coming up in a couple weeks. There are 6 events. It'll be a long day. Am I right in thinking I should load up with carbs for breakfast and then spread carbs throughout the day? I've never done a strongman comp. I've done powerlifting before, but I've never done a strongman competition. But that I would load up. Like, now, I don't know if you have to do a weigh-in or anything for that, or if it's just an open event where weight classes don't matter. I'm not sure, because that may play a role, right, if you have to make weight. But ideally, putting the whole topic of weigh-ins and making weight aside, just from a pure physical performance side of things, I would eat well and sleep well in the days leading up to the competition, because I think that would probably even have a bigger impact than simply the day of. That's something for people who compete. Let me just move that out of the way. The rest and food you get in the days leading up can have a big impact. Like, a lot of people think the day of, but if you're waiting to fuel up the day of, you're already late. You've already missed the boat, right? You want to start doing it early. And like the week before, you should be tapering your training, and then the days before, you should be eating more food so that you're topping up your glycogen stores and that you're well rested, making sure you're getting to bed extra early or getting naps in the afternoon or whatever it takes, just so that you are rested up fully before that event. And then the morning of the competition, a few hours before, you want to get in a good meal. And then throughout the day, multiple small meals of foods that are easy to digest, easy to absorb. And this is something, ideally, you should know what works for your body. Like, I wouldn't recommend trying something new the day of the competition, like some weird new carbohydrate supplement, or some bars or gels or something you've never tried before. Like, you should try all this stuff in advance to make sure that it sits well with your stomach. But eating small, frequent meals throughout the day will help. And also keeping the fiber content low the day of the competition. So low fiber carbohydrates. Like, that's not the day to eat your salad. That's the day to eat like rice or potatoes, or like carbohydrates that are easy to digest without a lot of fiber, because you don't want that fiber sitting in your stomach slowing digestion or causing intestinal bulk. And you're in the middle of an event and you got to go run and do a number 2, right? You don't want that happening. So low fiber the day of the competition, right? And even lower in protein, right? Because you don't need a lot of protein. You need mostly carbohydrates. Like, protein is going to have that afterwards for the recovery phase, but during the event itself, primarily easy to digest carbohydrates, small, frequent meals. That's what I would focus on. And that's how I go about it. Like, when I'm doing a cycling race, and I've done a few cycling races this year, that's how I go about them. And just the small frequent feedings throughout the day. So you're keeping your glycogen levels topped up. All right. What else we got there? Commenting on the sugar post that we talked about earlier, Darren was saying a lot of Tour de France riders drink cans of Coke. And they do. Yeah, you see them drinking soda pop, right? Cans of sugary soda. A lot of people do just to get that sugar in their system. And that's, again, in those type of events, that's when that is advantageous.
Yeah. Wouldn't you be like burping like crazy?
Well, I guess if you're used to it, it's not a big deal. Personally, I'm not a big soda drinker, so I wouldn't have soda. But if somebody's used to it and they drink it regularly and they know they can tolerate it and they enjoy it, more power to them. It's a little caffeine sugar kick, and if they enjoy it, hey. But again, I don't drink soda myself. I drink sparkling water. That's my fizzy drink of choice. What about you? Do you drink soda? Or
no, I don't drink soda.
No.
Nope. I drink seltzer water.
Yeah. Right. What else we got there? Okay, here's an interesting question. Barry's saying, what's your take on the carnivore diet? Seems to be another fad diet. Maybe not. Thoughts? Jeff, what's your take on the carnivore diet?
Truthfully, I've never tried it.
Kind of did a variation with the keto, but keto is not pure meat.
Yeah. I feel like it would be lacking in some things, like obviously vegetables. Like, I mean,
zero vegetables, right?
Zero vegetables. I don't know. Why would you ever want to be on a diet that cuts out vegetables?
Yeah.
When there's so much evidence and it's clearly advantageous for you and for your health and fitness. And I don't know.
I get a kick out of this one because you get some people who are hardcore carnivore advocates, and then you get the opposite spectrum, the hardcore vegan plant-based advocates, and each one is convinced if you do the other, you're going to die. Right?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot too. Yeah.
The vegans say if you eat meat, you're going to die, and the carnivore people say if you eat vegetables, you're going. I don't know if they say you're going to die, but it's not healthy, right? They always say vegetables are bad for you, and then vice versa. The vegans say meat's bad for you. We're very diverse. We're meant to consume a mixed diet. Right? If we weren't meant to eat a mixed diet, we wouldn't be able to eat a mixed diet. Like you look at animals that are true carnivores, like a lion or something like that, or they eat meat because that's what their digestive system is meant for. Like if they don't have meat, they're not just going to start chewing on grass and sticks and twigs. No, they eat meat. That's it. Vice versa. Cows and horses and those type of animals, they're not going to, if there's no grass to eat, they're not going to just hunt down an animal and start chewing on an animal. Their digestion system is not built for it. Ours, we're like a hybrid, right? We're built to eat both. And when we eat both, that's the optimal, situation. And I've always said, like the protein and veggies, your meat and your veggies, that's the foundation to a good, healthy diet. But I know guys who've done it, and it falls into that fad diet category. Like prime example, the person I know who's really stuck to it serious, I mentioned him earlier in our video chat, Mike Brown. He did carnivore diet for several months and got good results. Like he lost a lot of weight from it, but he looked flat. He looked stringy. He wasn't able to build much muscle on it. And it wasn't healthy. His cholesterol was through the roof. I can't remember the exact numbers, but like scary high. Like his doctor's like, you got to do something. This is scary. And then he explained the diet he's on, and his doctor was almost relieved. Okay, well, get off that freaking diet, start eating a well-balanced diet. And he did. But since he's came on board with the Muscle After 40 program and focusing on that well-balanced diet of protein and vegetables and carbohydrates and having equal ratios of protein, carbs, and fat, his cholesterol numbers are down in the normal range. His muscle and leanness and his fullness, strength, and energy is up. Like he's in the best shape of his life now, eating a mixed diet. And that's when I look at it, like you don't see elite level athletes eating a carnivore diet. Right. I mean, there's probably with so many people out there, there's probably the exception to the rule. But generally speaking, anybody who's at the high level in any sport or anyone who's in great shape, they're usually eating a well-balanced diet. So it's one of those quick fix solutions, if you will. Right. But yeah, it's basically keto extreme. It's not even true keto, because the true keto is not even a high protein diet. It's a high fat diet.
Fat diet, yeah.
Right. So it's low carb extreme, if you will. It's
right.
Not low carb, it's no carb. Yeah. Anyway, what else we got there? Khalid saying, what is your best form of cardio for fat loss when you're keeping muscle? All right, I got the answer for that, but is there anything you want to add to that one, Jeff? What do you think is the best cardio for someone who wants to maintain as much muscle and just lose body fat?
Well, steady state cardio. I think would be the best. It's something that doesn't negatively impact your strength training workouts. For me, I like hiking and cycling. I like those. Cycling, especially because cycling is very easy on the joints.
Yeah.
So you can get a really great cardio workout, but then the next day you could still hit up the gym and still feel really strong and all that. So yeah, I'd say something that isn't going to like wreak havoc on your joints, like like walking, cycling, hiking, elliptical machine, Stairmaster, things like that. Probably wouldn't recommend like running, like sprinting or something like that, or like really high intense interval training kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you're training for that type of thing.
Right. That's the answer I was going to say there, because if your main goal is building muscle, then the cardio is a fat burning supplement to your workouts. So like, for example, when I'd be getting ready for bodybuilding competitions, my main focus, of course, I want to have the weight training in there and the nutrition in there. And then I would add in the low intensity, long duration, steady state cardio as a fat burning supplement, right? That was to help aid with fat burning. And walking was my primary form of cardio, because walking, it's easy on the body. You don't feel beat up after you go for a walk. You actually feel rejuvenated and invigorated. Whereas if you did some high intensity cardio, it zaps your energy. And when it zaps your energy, that's going to take away from the recovery from your weight training. And not only that, it's going to bump up your appetite. Like if you do really high intensity cardio workouts, yeah, you burn a ton of calories, but then you also, it spikes your appetite, and then you want to eat to compensate for that. And that's one of the biggest problems, especially in endurance sports. Like people who train for endurance, they got to be very careful with their nutrition, because it's easy to burn a lot and then eat a lot. So then you cancel out the fat burning benefits of that cardio. So it's a very fine line. And that's why I like the lower intensity, longer duration cardio. Like you mentioned, the walking, cardio machines at the gym, things like that. Cardio where you're able to carry on a conversation, right? It's not gasping for air cardio. It's not my quads are burning type of cardio. It's cardio that you can continue and do nonstop for an hour plus without feeling fatigued. Like you should not be gassed doing the fat burning cardio. And that's a way to help bump up your calorie expenditure without breaking down your body. And it's also great from it's nice to do that, because it also distracts you from eating. Like I'll give you an example. When I was competing in bodybuilding, like I would very often go for a couple walks a day. And one of my walks I would like to do in the evening after dinner, because when I was out walking, I wasn't home thinking about food. I wasn't looking in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Right. Like I just finished dinner, but let me just stick my head in the refrigerator and see what's in here anyway, or what's in the cupboard. Like, hey, I'm out for a walk. I can't do that. So if I'm out walking, I'm not home eating. So I found that was a great way to distract me. And, instead of in the evening, like most people, what do? They usually sit around watch television or scroll on social media or something like that. They're sitting back to unwind, relax. And when you're in that state, it's very easy to grab the munchies, grab snack food and stuff. So getting out for a walk or doing some form of cardio in that time was a great distraction to keep me away from needless snacking. But that's the best form of cardio if your main goal is fat loss. Now, if you're training for sport specific, it changes totally. Depends on what it is you're training for. But from a body composition point of view, low intensity, steady state's the way to go. All right, let's see what else we got there. We'll answer a few more, and then we'll get ready to clue it up. Because I know you're probably playing a gig tonight, are you, Jeff?
Huh? I am. Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Playing.
You're to Maine. Yeah, you're going to Maine.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. So let's see. We got Warg Pup. I think I said that right. Mm-hmm. Just add, I've been consistent in training, strict eating, and having solid sleep. This is really the first time cutting, but pleased with the results besides strength. I'm not sure if you had another question earlier. Did I miss or not? Something quick. I don't think so. But that's awesome. Okay. Consistent training and eating and sleep. I mean, like that's the basis right there.
The recipe, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The big word is the consistent, right?
Yeah.
I've been consistent. Like everyone, what's the secret? Consistency. Good enough, but good enough consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Consistency over intensity. Another way I like to put it, I've heard my coach say this before. We want to be consistently good versus occasionally great. That's the way a lot of diet and exercise programs go. Is people are occasionally great, like when the stars align and they get their motivation and their piss and vinegars fired up and everything else, and that's it, right? I'm hitting the gym every day. I'm following my whatever diet it is, my keto, my carnivore, my starve myself diet plan, and I'm going 100%. And then if something falls off the rails or they skip a workout or they cheat on their diet, it's like, oh, I knew I couldn't do this. Mm-hmm. They fall off the rails again. So they're occasionally great, and that doesn't lead to sustainable change. But we want to be consistently good, not occasionally great. All right. But anyway, what else we got there? I lost my spot here. Just give me a second. Neil's following up. Thanks for the answer. As a coffee man myself, I've tried drinking black coffee. I eat a banana with half a tablespoon of salt as a pre-workout. Half a teaspoon. Yeah.
That'd be a lot.
Half a teaspoon's even a lot too, right? Yeah. I do this on off days. Reference to Lee's pre-workout video. I got to acknowledge this because I made a video a while back talking about a pre-workout supplement, and I was saying how salt can actually be advantageous for your workout, because when you have more sodium, more electrolytes in your system, it actually helps you to get a better pump. And how I did it is I took the salt shaker and I had a spoon and I put a few shakes of salt on the spoon and just chased it down with water. A lot of people thought I was consuming a full spoonful of salt, right? And they're like, oh my God, I tried having a teaspoon or a tablespoon of salt and blah, blah, blah. It's disgusting. It's gross. And I got sick afterwards and blah, blah. And I didn't have a spoonful. Like if you watch the video, it's a spoon with a few shakes of salt on it. Like I just, instead of pouring it in my hand or just dumping it in my mouth directly, I just put it on the spoon so I could see how much was coming out. And then I chased it down with water. So that video, I've had so many emails and comments to that over the years because it went, it was a popular video, but a lot of people thought I was recommending chowing down a full spoonful of salt. I'm like, no, it's a few shakes of salt on a spoon.
Yeah.
Big difference.
That'd be rough.
Right. So Neil, if you're watching this, do not consume a full spoon of salt or even a half a spoon. That's a lot. Literally just a few shakes. Mm-hmm. Few shakes of salt on a spoon, just so you got some sodium in you, but not, not so much that you're chewing it up, crunching the salt.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Oh man. Anyway, Rick's got another one. That's great hearing you use this in your program. Something that has come to my attention in the last 4 months. and have put to practice, and has made way more changes for me over just a quick fix. Wish more people would bring this to the front. Message to more people. Yeah, so he's just commenting on our laying the foundation with the metabolic reboot before getting into strict fat loss. All right, what else we got there? Can someone eat 3 meals a day and lose fat and keep muscle with 3 meals? Some people say they can't eat 5 meals. They want to eat 3 and they want fat loss. Is it work? Right. Can you eat 3 meals a day?
Yes.
We can leave it at that, but the answer is yes.
Yep. You got to be in a calorie deficit. If you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose weight.
And sometimes that is one of the easiest ways to create that deficit, is to simply eat fewer meals. Like, you know, if you're stuck in the bodybuilding rut of thinking, oh, I got to eat 5 meals a day or 6 meals a day or whatever, and you just simply cut back a meal. Like if you're just think you're doing the you know, the old school bodybuilder 6 meals a day thing, you cut back to 5 meals, man, you just cut your calories by 1/6. Right? Yeah. You cut back to 4, you just cut it back again, and without eating less per meal. And I actually found that in my case, 3 to 4 meals is like my sweet spot. Like when I space my food out 3 to 4 times a day, it's enough where I get to eat enough per meal that I walk away from the table feeling comfortably full, but it's also that sweet spot where I can keep my total calories for the day in check. If I were to eat more meals, then the meals themselves have to be smaller. And what I find happens sometimes is you start eating and it stimulates your appetite, but then you have to leave the table before you're full. And that's not a nice feeling.
That doesn't sound enjoyable at all.
Right? Like when you're still hungry, you have to stop before you're satisfied. Like we don't like to stop before we're satisfied in multiple areas. Right? Like just imagine, right? You right? We're all
you don't got to say anymore, Lee. We got you.
Right? You get aroused and you have to stop before you're satisfied. Like that's not fun. Right? That's frustrating. So God. Imagine having to do that with your meals. Like you start eating, you stimulate your appetite, and then you have to stop before you're satisfied. So I'd rather have fewer meals, eating till satisfaction, versus trying to stick to that old school. Oh, I got to eat 6 meals a day or whatever. Some people say 5, but no. What matters is what you eat and how much you eat. When you eat it is the least important, right? I mean, there is a time and a place for meal timing and all that, but for most people, it's simply just the sheer volume of food and what it is you're eating. And 3 meals a day from a fat loss point of view can work really well. When you were really focusing on fat loss, Jeff, like how many meals a day were you eating?
I was eating 3 meals a day. Yeah, 3 meals a day, and I would have a snack before bed, which was like some kind of low calorie thing, like Smart Pop popcorn or like a protein powder with Greek yogurt or something like that. So
perfect.
Yeah, it's always been 3 meals a day. I mean, I grew up eating 3 meals a day. That's my family did, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So I've never done the 5-6 meal thing a day. And I'd say that's like another thing. I think the inconvenience of having to prepare 5 or 6 meals in one day. I mean, I can't imagine even as it is, like tonight on my way to the gig, I'm bringing a lunchbox with some Tupperware in it. I can't imagine showing up with the lunchbox with like 3 or 4 things of Tupperware, like instead strategically eating every hour on the dot,
Oh yeah.
Or however often you got to do it. I don't know. That just seems like so much work.
It is a lot of work.
But I guess if you want to live in a bubble and and you don't got much going on socially, and you got all that downtime to really nail the meal timing then I guess all the power to you. But
yeah, you can make it work. Absolutely. I mean, like a lot of bodybuilders do, but the 3 meals, like you mentioned, 3 meals and a snack before bed, like there's no special planning. Like everybody's, well, and I say everybody, but most people's schedule allows for that, because most people will have breakfast in the morning, virtually everyone gets some sort of lunch break. We all pretty much have a dinner in the evening. Like, you know, that fits with normal real life.
Yeah.
So 3 meals a day and then have a snack before bed. I mean, it's so simple, and there's no out of the way meal prep required. It's just making better choices at those 3 main meals. That's as simple as that, you know.
Yeah. I try to be on target with my 3 meals a day. I don't skip meals. And I'm always, I always try to get those 3 meals in, but like, I don't know. That's hard enough as it is sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got Ryan joining in. Ryan's a regular to our chat. He says, congrats on your recent road race results. Looked tough. Maybe we'll see a Dylan Johnston style race recap on your channel for a future race sometime. I don't know. Dylan Johnston, he's got a bicycle YouTube channel. That's what he's referring to there. But yeah, so I've done 2 races recently, back to back, actually. I did one in last, when was it, July 30th, I think it was, last Sunday in July. And then I did another one just this past Sunday. The one that I did in July was a road race. And then the one that I did last Sunday was part of a triathlon. I was part of a relay team. So I did the cycling portion. So we had a swimmer, had a runner, and I was the cyclist. And that was challenging, because that is a time trial. Basically, it's a solo effort, just flat out racing against the clock. And I hit some personal best power numbers. For anybody who's into cycling and knows it, I averaged 304 watts normalized power for an hour and 17 minutes.
Wow.
304 watts for an hour and 17 minutes. Like that was max effort. Like, even I looked at my Strava stats afterwards and it said 100% intensity. Like, right? Like, that was, I emptied the tank, and that was my goal. Cause like my theoretical FTP, like you do the 20-minute FTP test, it's a 20-minute test. It came saying like, okay, I'm in the, I think it was just over 300 watts was my FTP. And I said, can I hold 300 watts throughout this event? Right. So that's what I strove for. I just, that's all I was looking at, is the power meter. And I said, okay, I just want to average 300 watts. That was the goal. And the normalized power, when it was all said and done, was 304 for an hour and 17 minutes. And I was gassed. Like, that sucked the energy out of me. That hour and 17 minutes was the hardest hour and 17 minutes of cardio I've ever did. And I was beat for days afterwards. Right.
Yeah.
Like I could go for a long ride at sub-maximal efforts and go for hours on end, and it wasn't as intense as that. But I basically emptied the tank. But it was a fun challenge, and I'll do it again. I'd love to do it again.
Good on you, man. That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, I know Ryan. I follow him on Strava as well, so I've seen some of the race results there. Yeah, but our team placed second in the relay, which I was super pleased with.
Yeah.
And for the road race, I actually won my division in that one. That was for that one, it was, how many people was in that one? I can't remember exactly, but I did the weekend warrior category, the category B, and I won that. So I was super pleased with that. All right, Space Battleship Alex. Gotta love that name. I'm not bulking or anything, but I'm not really getting enough protein via regular food. So I've been supplementing my diet with high quality protein shakes, about 2 to 3 shakes a day. Is this too much in your opinion? What do you think, Jeff? 2 to 3 shakes a day, too much?
Maybe 2 wouldn't be too much. I don't know. 3, that does seem kind of like a lot. I don't know. I have a smoothie in the morning with like with some protein powder, and then have some protein powder at night before bed with like some Greek yogurt. So I don't know. Like, that's the supplement. Two things of protein supplement a day. So I wouldn't go any more than that. I try to get most of your protein from real whole single ingredient foods.
Yeah. I do agree with that. Like, I think real food is the way to go. But with that being said, hey, if it's working for you and you're getting 2 to 3 shakes a day, and that fits with your schedule and everything else, and you're making it work. Like I know some guys have gotten great results having, shakes as a major source of their protein intake. So it's not right or wrong, good or bad. Like it's what works. Personally, I used to do something very similar. Like I remember back in my, bodybuilding, bro split days and all that stuff, like back in the old days before the internet. I mean, I was slamming back 2 to 3 shakes a day. Like that was usually what I did. I was have my 3 meals a day, and then in between each meal I'd have a shake, right? Try to get that 6 feedings per day, if you will, because I mean, I made it work, but I've kind of turned myself from protein shakes because I was drinking 2 to 3 shakes for years, and now I can't stand it. So what I'll do is I'll use protein powder, but I'll cook with it, or like I'll put it in a blended smoothie or something. Like this morning we had high protein pancakes with protein powder in it. But to just sit down and drink a protein shake, like that's kind of like the last resort for me.
Yeah.
When I just need to get it in me, but there's like no pleasure in just drinking a protein shake. It's like just chug it.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. I get no satisfaction from drinking protein shakes at all.
So, if you're doing it just like almost like the same as like popping your vitamin pill, like there's no satisfaction in that either, but you're getting the vitamins in you. If this is how you need to get your protein intake and it's working, then by all means do it. But from a fat loss point of view, I would kind of shy away from the shakes and focus on the real food from the eating satiation point of view, because if you're drinking the shake and getting the calories and the protein that way, you don't really curb your appetite, right? Like you get much more eating satisfaction if you ate, a nice steak or a nice fillet of fish or a grilled chicken or something like that, versus just gulping a shake down.
Yeah.
So I prefer the real food, but you gotta. This is the magic question: how is it working for you?
Yeah.
Right? How's it working? If it's working for you, you're enjoying it, you're getting results. Do it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm not going to say if it's. He asks my opinion. My opinion doesn't matter. It's your results that matter.
Yeah. 100%.
That's something, we all need to factor that in, because that's probably a good point we can clue the chat up on. Is we see so much stuff on social media, like someone say, oh, this is the right way to do it, or that's the right way to do it, and there's so much contradictory opinions and feedback and all that. And you know what they say about opinions, right? They're like a-holes. Everyone's got one. It's people's opinion doesn't matter. It's like, is it working for you? Right? Like if you're doing something, right? If you're eating 1 meal a day and it's working for you and you enjoy it, then who might argue? Do it for as long as it's working for you.
Yeah.
Be flexible in your approach to realize if it's not working, and then try something different, right? Like all these different approaches. Like for a while, I tried intermittent fasting, and for a while it worked for me, but I was smart enough to know when it didn't work for me and when I needed to change my approach. Same with a lot of training routines. Like you might try a certain training routine, and in the short term, it may work for you. You may get some good results, right? Ride that wave of momentum for what it's worth, but then also be aware of your results. And if it stops working, be willing to change your approach. All right, we're going to get ready and clue this up. I know there's still a couple more questions in there, but we're at the top of the hour, actually a little beyond. So let everybody know where you're playing to tonight, Jeff, and we'll see if anybody's going to join you.
I'm playing at the Spuddy Nose Brewery in New Hampshire. Yep, in Hampton, New Hampshire. That's right.
Okay, so I thought you were going to Maine, but that's not tonight.
That's tomorrow. So so Hampton is right on the border of New Hampshire and Maine. So I'm playing tonight in Maine, in Hampton, and then afterwards I'm going to drive to my mother-in-law's house, spend the night there, and then wake up and be in Maine tomorrow. Then playing in Maine tomorrow night.
Gotcha.
Yep. So tomorrow I'm gonna hit the beach. I haven't seen the ocean yet this summer, so I want to go see it.
Really? My gosh.
Yep, I know.
I see it all the time. I look out my window. There it is.
You live on an island. I gotta drive a few hours to see.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, good stuff. So if anybody wants to go to the, what do you call Smutty Nose?
Smutty Nose Brewery in
Smutty
Hampton.
Nose, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Smutty Nose. Oh,
yeah.
That sounds dirty.
I assure you it is not. It is a brewing company. Yeah.
Anyone in Hampton wants to go to the Smutty Nose Brewery and see the conniption fits, there you go. Your entertainment.
I'll be there.
Do they serve non-alcoholic beer? Probably not. Most of these breweries don't.
I don't know. I don't drink at the gigs. I am a professional, so I
respect that.
So I bring my Nalgene of water, and I will turn down any alcoholic beverage that is given to me.
And I'm sure a lot of musicians who play at these gigs, they're professionals, but they're professional drinkers.
Yeah. You don't even know the half of it, Lee. You don't even know the half of it.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Jeff, for joining me. It's always great to connect and have a chat. I enjoy these. And for those of you who are watching, if you do have any questions, with anything that we discussed during our video chat, feel free to reach out. I've got my contact information as well as Jeff's down in the description below the video, so you can pop that open. If you haven't already done so, friend us up over on Facebook. You can also follow Jeff over on Instagram. He posts a lot of fitness videos over there as well. So if you have any questions or you want to follow us on social media, Facebook for me and Jeff, and as well, Jeff's got an Instagram page that he's active on. I've got an Instagram, but I don't use it much. I basically sign up for an account, but it's not active. Facebook is my platform of choice. So if you want to reach out, connect with me there, and you can also send us an email. But in the meantime, have yourself a great weekend, and look forward to chatting with you next week. All right. Take care, folks. Over and out.
Over and out.
End the broadcast.